Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like this video, please take a moment to leave a comment. Thank you. I thought I'd take a look at my growing collection of Spartans. Now the Spartan is put out by Victorinox, and it is a direct line back to Karl Elsener's original Swiss Army officer and sporting knife, and it features the blades that you see here. So you have your cap lifter, screwdriver, then a pen blade, a Spearmaster blade, a can opener, little screwdriver, and then the corkscrew and the reamer. It is very similar to another knife that has become a little more popular these days, which is the Tinker. I don't have a red Tinker. The difference between the Spartan and the Tinker is the screwdriver. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on Swiss Army knives. If you're really looking for lots of good information on Swiss Army knives, I suggest taking a look at HobieOnYoutube or MrSharp or the SAKguy. All three of them, I'll have links in the descriptions below. All three of them have a whole lot more information on Swiss Army knives than I do. And if you collect Swiss Army knives, you should definitely be checking out all three of those channels. If you don't collect Swiss Army knives, you're probably not watching this video anyway. Now, I don't actually carry the Spartan very often. Of the Swiss Army knives that I've carried, this was the first one I started carrying, which was the Woodsman, which is a Spartan that has a saw and a pair of scissors. Where's the scissors at? And this one does not have the toothpick or tweezers. If it had toothpick and tweezers, it would be known as the Huntsman. That's the first Swiss Army knife that I started carrying. Later, I carried a Spartan Light. And the reason I carried that is because I really like the end-mounted Phillips screwdriver, and I added plus scales to it so that I could get the little screwdriver that goes into the corkscrew and an ink pen. The other thing that comes with it is the light. The battery was always dying on it because the switch moved around too much. But this is the Spartan Light, and I carried that for some time before moving up to the Explorer. Now the Explorer is basically a Spartan that has the end-mounted Phillips, a magnifying glass, oops, wrong one, and a pair of scissors. These are tools that I really wanted, and I went ahead and switched out the scales and gave it plus scales, so I once again have an ink pen. Come on, let's get back in there. And the little Phillips screwdriver, as well as you can put a safety pin in here too. So this is the knife I'm currently carrying, but the knives that I tend to collect tend to be the Spartan. And so let's take a look at the ones I collect as opposed to the ones that I carry. And before I go on, let me also mention that if you're really looking for an excellent selection of Spartan knives throughout the years, the person to really be looking at is HobieOnYoutube. He also collects Spartans as well as the original Swiss Army soldiers' knives. And so that's a place to go if you really want to learn a lot about Spartans. I know I've learned quite a bit about the Spartan over there. The only old one that I have is this one here. And it's not that old, but it's old enough that it has a bail and a clip blade instead of a pin blade, a 5-turn corkscrew, and the kind of quarter round reamer. I really like this reamer. I wish they still did it. It's not extremely old because it does not have exposed rivets, but it's probably from the 60s or so, and it's one of my favorite Spartans. Obviously the blades are all the same that you'll see on any other Spartan other than what I just showed you, which was the clip blade and the 5-turn and the difference of the reamer plus the bail here at the end. But that's the oldest Spartan I have, and what I've really been doing more or less is looking at newer Spartans and grabbing what I could find of those. Oh, by the way, because this is before 1974, this is actually a standard instead of a Spartan, but they're pretty much the same knife. It just based on whatever year it came out. Before 1974, standard. After 1974, Spartan. But collectors refer to all of them as just a Spartan. I've got two in red Celador. This one is a newer one. You can tell that because of the half stop on the cap lifter here. The older one I have has Hofritz down here on the bottom. Hofritz was a distributor of Victorinox Swiss Army knives in the United States, and this one is an older one, so the cap lifter rotates around without a half stop. Otherwise, these two knives are pretty much identical. You'll see here the same pin blade on both of them. So really the only difference you'll see here is Hofritz and a fully rotating cap lifter screwdriver. My other red Spartan has the nylon scales, but it does not have, you'll see here, this is the front ting stamp, back ting stamp. It just says Officer Suiza. This may or may not be in the economy line, I'm not sure, but this the shield here is actually an inlay, and this thing is darn near mint, really good shape, and it does have the half stop, so it's a newer one, and I got it simply because of the nylon scales. I wanted an example of just about every kind, at least one of every kind. But beyond that, what I'm looking at in my Spartans is the different limited editions and different scales that come on them. Next up, we'll look at the one with the Edelweiss scales. If you're familiar with the 58mm classics, you'll know that there's 5 of them with different color Edelweiss scales on them. The most common one is the red one, and I had never seen it in a Spartan, so when I saw these I just had to go ahead and pick it up. The blade has a little bit of an edge here, so I think it might have been done for a company or something. It's interesting, the ELE is backwards. I don't know what company that is. And then we see, or maybe it's, yeah, and then we see the Victorinox also has the little V, and Officer Suiza on the back. Otherwise, you know, same blades and everything, but what just caught my eye was the Edelweiss scales, so never seen it before, so I just kind of had to have it. You'll see here there's one little nick there, and other than that, the knife is pretty much mint. It was never used or anything, so pretty cool. And as we know, Edelweiss is the flower of Switzerland, so we have this one here also. This one also never used or anything. Wonderful knife. And you know, with Switzerland. In this case, this is it's smooth, so this is probably just hot pressed into there, which is common with a lot of the knives like this. The limited editions, the shield is just hot pressed in, but it's nice and smooth and looks really good and well made, and you've got those Edelweiss flowers on there with Switzerland. Just a nice little knife. And then we have my friend the Bavarian here, and I really like this one. This is the first Spartan I ever bought, actually, and really just cool. Again, it's just stamped on the back, and you have the blue and white checkerboard of Bavaria on the scales, and also the the Royal Crest of Bavaria there, and Bayern Bavaria. And that concludes all of my Spartans. And we have one over here. This is a Sportsman, which is the 84mm version of the Spartan. This is actually an assistant because it doesn't have the toothpick or tweezers. I might end up picking up more of the Sportsmans because it really does fit in the pocket well, and I do like the file on there instead of the secondary pen blade. But you can't collect as many different things like this in the 84mm line. So, and the standard is truly the can be traced all the way back to the first Swiss Army officer's knife. And you see here the last one I'm picking up. This is a Tinker. More and more I'm finding that the limited edition knives are coming out on Tinker frames, and so I'm grudgingly picking up Tinkers that have pretty cool scales on them too. And it's kind of like close enough to being a Spartan, but I really wish they were had the corkscrew instead of the Phillips screwdriver. And this one was by Bass Pro Shop. You know, and the thing is with these limited editions like this Bass Pro and even the Edelweiss and the Bavarian and such, they're only like $4 or $5 more than a standard Spartan, so that's why I'm picking them up when I see them. I still do need to get at least one old Spartan with rivets, and then get a couple other ones that are kind of older. And I will as time permits, but mostly what I'll probably be collecting are the limited edition Spartans that have some kind of a cool scale or something. Unlike some other people who are really the connoisseurs of Swiss Army knives, such as MrSharp, SAKguy, and HobieOnYoutube. They really go out there and look for those hard to find Swiss Army knives. And if you're really into Swiss Army knives, and if you're not subscribed to their channels, you're really missing out and should take a look at it. In any case, those are my Spartans, and I will show you more when I get more. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Knife Chats, and if you did, please like and share it with your friends. Comments are always welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode of Knife Chats is up online. Thanks again. Hope to see you soon.